welcome or welcome back. This is Breathe and Budget. My name is Taryn. On this channel, we talk about all things finance related, how I use the zero-based budget method, cash envelopes, as well as fun savings challenges to meet our financial goals. So if any of that is of interest to you, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, join our community here, and let's get into today's video. All right, you guys, 2024 is upon us. Well, in like a little over 24 hours. But I have been trying to prepare 2024 to kind of shift gears on a few things. Since we did meet some financial goals in 2023, I'm able to focus on other areas. But I wanted to explain my process and how I determine what my budget's going to be, right? Like, how do you even create a budget? So first, I'm going to tell you the tool that I use that quite literally saved my life, my sanity back in 2020 when I found the Budget Mom and I got her Budget by Paycheck workbook. This is the full size. You guys know me typically using the box set since I started my YouTube channel, but I am happy to go back to the full size. I felt more dedicated to tracking my spending when using the full size versus the box set. I don't know why. Maybe the size does make a difference. I don't really know, but I'm definitely committed. 2024, one of my goals is to ensure that I'm actually tracking my spending, and I'll explain a little bit more about what I mean when I get into it. I'm just going to give you a brief overview of the Budget by Paycheck workbook. Obviously, it's a larger book, so it's kind of hard to see completely in frame, but I will do my best. It is, tabbed for the months, but they are undated. So you have to actually create and add the days of the week, the dates, and everything. So I don't mind that. I think it's great because some people are like a Sunday start date. Some people are Monday. I'm Monday. So that allows me to tailor this to my actual needs. But she does give you, let me see if I can just zoom out a little bit more. All right, that's a little bit better. I wanted you to be able to kind of see the full spread of at least the calendar. So she gives you a calendar for the month. Sorry, that's Atlas in the background. And she does give you these, let me show you a blank one first so you're not distracted by my numbers. This is considered a paycheck breakdown, right? So your income, your fixed expenses, your variable expenses, sinking funds, if you're putting anything towards extra debt or extra savings, and then also for the cash stuffing, what envelopes, how much, and then also a cash denomination breakdown. And then you have a spot to put some of your thoughts, your goals, and things like that. So she gives you 5 of these, which I think is great because some people don't need all of them. Some people get paid once a month, maybe twice a month. For my husband and I, we each get paid twice a month, meaning I need 4 of these. And I use the 5th one to do a full month view. So basically what I do before the month starts is I will sit down and I will enter in basically everything for the actual month, all the income I anticipate receiving, all of the bills in full, and all of the savings goals. So I use the last one as my month, and then I further break that down by each paycheck. And that's what you'll see here. So this is going to be my December 30th check and how I broke down that particular check. So let me go back to the budget calendar. This is basically where you want to put all of your paydays, and you also want to put all of the bills that are due or any holidays, vacation, or appointments that you have coming up where you can foresee spending, okay? So it's really important that you figure out what all of your expenses are. Let me see how I can show you on my tablet. Let me turn it this way. And the glare is there. Not much I can really do about that from my ring light. Sorry about that. I'll just zoom in and you'll see. So I use this Budget by Paycheck workbook, but I also keep some data digital. And so I'll show you what I mean. So I have my bill tracker. So if you're just starting out creating a budget, what I'm going to ask that you do is your step 1 let me zoom in, is you need to write down all of your fixed expenses. The due date, what the bill is, how much is due. And then also what I think is important too is to put, is it on auto pay? And if so, what account? And then as the months go by and you pay that bill, you would just check mark that you paid it. I have an X for these ones because those are not going to be billed to me this month. And if I've already paid it, I put a check mark. And this highlighting here is because these ones, are water and trash, are not billed monthly. So I just highlight the months that they will be billed. So this is all of our fixed expenses. That's where you need to start. What are your expenses? What are your bills? So I don't have in here like groceries, gas, and any of my sinking funds or my personal spending or my nail money, none of that. Just your bare bones fixed expenses. A few of these I could get rid of. If we needed to completely go to a bare bones budget, obviously like Six Flags would go away. I would probably no longer get Pretty Litter. I would probably go to a cheaper brand of litter to help. Spectrum is non-negotiable. That's my internet and I work from home, so that I would need in order to continue working. But, movie club, I would get rid of some of those things if needed. Do I think that people going into debt or not making wise spending choices should impact what we can do for our children? No. But if we have to do that to get out of that situation and get on the best path possible, then we should be doing that. So that's basically my budget. This is my expenses that I would have to pay every single month. So also when you're creating an emergency fund, this is what it's going to be based off of, plus groceries, gasoline, any of those things that you would absolutely need. That's what's going to be included when you figure out how much you need to save to have anywhere from a 3 to a 6 month emergency savings set aside. Okay, so that's my bill tracker. Then what I like to do is just a breakdown for the month. So I know on these paychecks, those are the bills that are going to be covered. I keep this just as my template for when I am creating my budget calendar. Then it is important to track your memberships and your subscriptions. So this will be the second step you do. After you have written down all of your expenses, you're going to figure out what memberships or subscriptions you have, when they're due. If they're annual, what is the annual cost? If they're monthly, what is the monthly cost? I put both. And the reason I do is because, for example, our Ring alarm, it's $100 a year. But after I pay it this January, which will be coming up January 22nd, I can put $9 away and be ready to pay it for the next January, which would be January 2025. So there's an annual cost, but I give myself what I would need to put to the side monthly to cover that. So these are my memberships and subscriptions. It's important to document those because a lot of people will forget about this. A lot of people, it'll hit the account and they'll be like, oh my gosh, I forgot that AAA was coming out, or whatever the case may be, right? So track your memberships and subscriptions. Then it's important, after you know what all your expenses are, what memberships and subscriptions and things like that you have an obligation to pay, then it's time to sit down and do the fun part. What sinking funds do you want? So these are just some of mine. So I have holidays, birthdays, I have our earthquake insurance, I have our Allstate, which is our Can-Am insurance, my Roth IRA, my emergency savings, a 52-week challenge I'll be doing this year. And then January, I'll be putting money towards my cushion. But these are things that are important to me to save for ahead of time. The reason being is if I don't have the money sitting there, how easy it is to just pull out your credit card and swipe away to fund that holiday or event or whatever the case may be. But if you are intentional with it and you say, I want to spend X amount of dollars, I have X amount of months to fund that, then you can start saving for it and be fully prepared when it comes up. This is going to be a very personal journey for you. Not everyone celebrates the same holidays. Not everyone values them the same. Not everyone's household size is the same, nor is our income. So you have to figure out which ones are top priority, what the dollar amount is that you want to save, how are you going to fund that? So that's, again, a very personal decision. And if you don't know the amount, people are like, well, I don't know how much I should save. A couple tips that I can give you is 1, guess. Pick an amount. And if it works, it works. If you need to adjust it for the next year, adjust it. 2, look at your past spending. Were you comfortable with that dollar amount? If you could have saved that amount versus just putting it on your credit card, would that have been sufficient? Maybe you overspent. Maybe you can kind of tone it down a bit. You can do that as well just by looking at your past spending. But you do need to figure out what you want to save for. Okay, and what's important too with this, let me see. I've only started this page, but I will be updating it. So what I like to do is I put the goal. So Christmas, for example, Christmas, I have a goal amount of $3,500. This year I had $3,000. I want to up it for next year. For different reasons, but I also within this, I gave all of my employees, because I'm a supervisor in my position, I gave all of my employees a gift card. I also gave all the staff in my nail salon a gift card. So there's just various things that I fund. So I want to up this for next year. I want to have this by November 2024. So I have 11 months to save that. Technically, I already have $100 saved, but I didn't want to factor that in just yet. I need to save $3,500. To do so, I really only need to save $318 a month, but I'm just going to round it up to $320. So that means like that last month that I'll be saving, I have some room, some wiggle room to like reduce a little bit, maybe not put so much, or just go ahead and put the full 320 and I'll wind up being a little bit over the 3,500. So that's what you would want to do in terms of figuring out how much do you need to put away each month for your sinking funds. What is your goal? What is your goal amount? When is it due? How many months do you have to save it? Do you already have money saved? If not, how much do you have to save? And then how much do you need to put away every single month? So I'm holding my hand like this, like odd or awkwardly, because I'm trying to reduce the glare for you guys. Let me go back to, this is where I was. So I kind of tried to set up my year. This is the first 6 months. And I'm not done. I have to do the second half of the year, but this is where I'm starting. And I'm not fully done here, but this was just kind of a rough draft, just to at least get me started in the beginning. And then I like to have a current month breakdown page. So basically what this is going to be is, this is at a glance of what I'm going to be putting away for my sinking funds using the $2,000 that I always set aside specifically for my sinking funds, or like insurance, my Roth IRA, my savings. That's my at a glance, but I fund it between two different paychecks. So this paycheck is going to fund all this. This paycheck is going to fund all this. So I like to do a little breakdown. So when I'm doing my budget, I know what to do. This will be the second half. I'm not done. And that'll be my second half of my current month breakdown, which will start in July. But again, not finalized. Your fourth step, because I believe we are on step 4, and I really hope, but I'll be like popping up the steps on the screen as we go when I'm editing the video, is creating your budget categories. So what I mean by this is, for example, my only debt right now, oh no, that's bills. Bills are your fixed expenses. Debt, I have my mortgage and my car. Kids, if I spend money on clothing, extracurricular, miscellaneous, savings, sinking funds, entertainment, memberships, family fund, vacation, food, groceries, and dining. Miscellaneous would be like unplanned or unexpected expenses. Home, which would be security, cleaning, decor, home improvement, holidays, birthdays, gifts, pets, their food, litter, treats, overall care. Beauty for me would be nails, yoga, hygiene, and wellness. Car would be gasoline, maintenance, car wash, and insurance. So these are my categories. It's important to know what categories you're spending in. This plays a role in tracking your spending. So I will go into that shortly in more detail, but this will allow you to see how much you're spending in one particular category. This was such an eye-opener for me in 2020 when I first started this process. When I was able to track my spending, boy, did I see a lot of this highlighter color. We were dining out so much. I can't even begin to tell you the amount of money that I found we were spending on eating out. And it is something that we love. So we still do it, but now I am much more intentional. I set an amount. If I go over, I pull it from my personal spending. I'm not derailing any other savings goals to do that. I will say, guys, we're not eating out this week because I want to tone it down a bit, whatever the case may be. But when you track your spending and you categorize it based on your budget categories, it is truly eye-opening for you to see exactly how much you're spending and in what category. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Hopefully the glare is not too bad if you want to take a screenshot, just to give you guys an idea of some budget categories that, you might have in common with me, and you can go ahead and create your budget category. Okay, so I think I showed you everything I wanted to show you in my tablet. So we'll go back here. So once you know all of your bills, all of your variable expenses, your sinking funds, like how much money do you need to feed your family? How much money do you need to put gasoline in your car to get to and from wherever you need to get to? Again, 2 things you can do. Guess, and if it doesn't work, you change it the next month, or look at your past spending. I suggest going back and printing at least 2 bank statements, full bank statements, going through, printing it if you can print it, and highlighting, creating your budget categories and highlighting those categories. See how much you've been spending in those categories. Then you need to decide, 1, was that an amount that you're comfortable with continuing spending? Or maybe you overspent and you wish you hadn't quite spent that much, right? So then you need to adjust that amount. And 2, is it something that you can cut out? Do you really need to be spending money in that category or that, on that item, whatever the case may be? You may want to. And again, budgets are very personal. You have to make it work for you. It's also something I say, unless you are truly drowning in so much debt and you need to go bare bones and throw so much at debt that you just sort of need to like tone everything down. I get that, but I don't think living a completely restrictive financial journey is healthy. I think you'll wind up stopping. You'll wind up not finding joy in it, and you stop what doesn't make you happy, right? So for me, this is so much fun. Like sitting with my budget every single day, like looking at my cash envelopes, checking my balances, like how much have I saved, to me is truly motivational, and I love doing it. But I get my nails done. We do yoga. I have my personal spending money. We have, memberships to various what are those called? Like amusement parks. Those things. Like, we're still living, and I also feel it's super important because my kids are only kids one time. And if I'm so focused on just like paying off my house, paying off my car, and we like do nothing and we stay home all day, I'd feel really bad that we were not out there like making memories or having them experience different like cultures or traveling and things like that. So I'm a firm believer you can pay off debt and save at the same time. In fact, I highly encourage it, because if you're so busy paying off debt and an emergency does happen, how are you going to fund it? Your credit card. That's what you're going to do. You're going to pull out your credit card and you're going to fund that emergency, and you're going to be right back where you were. So while you're paying off your debt, you should be saving as well. You should be creating an emergency savings. They say to start with like $1,000 as your buffer in your checking account, which I have. In fact, I have a little bit more than 1,000 right now. That just sits there. If I use it, I replenish it. It's just there in case of emergencies, but it's really never intended for me to use it. Then you want to work on building a 3 to 6 month emergency savings, again, just based off of your fixed expenses, gasoline and food. You would have to like knock out other things. This would be in the event that you completely lose all sources of income and you needed time to be able to get back into working, back into the workforce, right? So they say anywhere from 3 to 6 months. I'm going to try to do 6 months, which means I need anywhere from about $20,000 to $25,000 to fund what I would want to fund and feel comfortable if my husband and I were to lose our sources of income. So back to the Budget by Paycheck workbook. Don't want this video to be too long. I'm hoping it is helpful and I'm not completely like scattered. I'm just trying to give it like by steps. So you now know what your expenses are. You know what your savings goals are. And you, for your income, again, you need to guess, but you're going to guess the lowest. What's the lowest amount? So for me, I know that I'm probably going to at least get $2,100 every time I get paid. So I get twice a month. Sometimes it's more, sometimes I do overtime, sometimes just the way that it works, because I'm paid twice a month, one check is higher than the other. But I know like bare minimum is going to be $2,100. That's what I budget with. That's what I use. And if it's more than that extra, I just put wherever I want to put it, or I leave it in my checking account and roll it over to the next month. So now you know those things. Now you need to create your budget calendar. Okay, so like I was saying, here's where you're going to mark your paycheck. So we get 4 paychecks. I designate each paycheck a highlighter color. I put those paydays. I also put like little sticker. So for this video, you can see those are our paydays, right? And for example, my check that came on December 30th is going to fund the bills that I have highlighted in pink. Why it's good to do it this way is basically some would tell you I have 4 budgets within this month. This budget, the pink, the gray, the purple, and the blue. Each of these checks cover bills that fall within that week. You can look at it at a monthly glance, or you can look at it that way. Bottom line is your budget calendar is where it's going to be. Paydays, bills, when it's due, if you have any upcoming appointments, like I have my haircut that day, if you have any important like vacations coming up, my daughter is taking me somewhere, God, hopefully I make it back in time if I don't like touch base with you guys, around January 15th, send help. But yeah, I don't know where we're going. So I put that on my calendar because I needed to increase gas and I need to increase personal spending and dining out just to make sure we're covered for that weekend. So it's important to put that on your budget calendar so that you are financially prepared for it. And again, along with any appointments. So you can see I have my yoga, my haircut, and my nail appointment. So I need to be financially prepared for those ones. And then holiday, we have New Year's, which I am financially prepared for. We did save for that, so that's exciting. So after you have your budget calendar completed, you're then going to go and do your breakdown for each paycheck. I do start with the month at a glance. That's right here. I like to see all the income for the month, all of the bills for the month, all of our variable expenses, and all of our savings. I don't have debt other than the car and the home. I don't pay any extra on it right now because, again, I'm paying enough on it. I'm comfortable with where we're at. The interest rate is super low on both the home and the car. I'm very fortunate. So right now I am heavily focused on saving money. 2024 is going to be the year, guys. I'm just going to be saving tons of saving. So I have a lot of savings goals, and some people would feel that this is overwhelming. But if you look at the categories, these are things that are going to be due anyways. So like 52-week challenge savings, my Roth IRA, these are long-term savings. These should be non-negotiable for anybody. We should be saving and preparing for our future. You know, retirement is going to eventually happen. If you qualify for Social Security, I will because I do have my 10 quarters, but my job now would not qualify me. So I'm fortunate that I'll have my pension plus Social Security, but where's Social Security going to be at? I couldn't tell you. You know, really think about that. We can't rely on that. We don't know the status of it. We don't know what state it's going to be in. So you need to prepare for your future. Investing is super important to me. I don't talk a lot about it on here just because I'm like beginner status on understanding it. I just know that I do it. I invest in my Roth IRA. I have it invested in, you know, ETFs. I have it in like the S&P 500s. I have followed, I guess you could say, like stock market gurus and have taken advice even from like the budget mom. So I'm investing and saving. These are non-negotiables. Then, for example, my alarm for my house, that's our security, our safety. Allstate, car insurance, we have to have it. Vehicle registration, we have to pay it. Vehicle maintenance, it's inevitable. I'm going to need an oil change. I'm going to need to change tires. Vehicle detailing is definitely not a top priority, but to maintain and prolong the life of our car, even visually in that aspect, like I don't need it like rusting and a door handle falling off, right? This will help to prolong that. And if I'm wrong, please don't go at me in the comments, but I feel like that's important just to care for what we have. Like if you've spent money on it, you should be taking care of it. Our earthquake policy, we live in California. Earthquake policy is a must. In addition to my homeowner's insurance policy, it is a must. Our regular homeowner's insurance policy will not cover earthquake damage. So I purchased this separately. So this is not in my escrow account like my homeowner's insurance is. Okay, so my mortgage, my 880, that covers that. That's also like mortgage, like the homeowner's insurance and things like that. But my earthquake policy, I purchased separately from the same company, so I got a discount. Then pest control. If y'all know what I went through in 2023, River got stung by a scorpion. We had 2 snakes. We had a centipede. We had water bugs. We had mosquitoes. We had bees. I don't even know. Black widows. I mean, it was just uncontrollable. Pest control is a must. Then there's, you know, AAA, wellness. If we go over on groceries, clothing, Atlas's gear, okay, yeah, some people would be like, well, he's an animal, he's, you know, like should be put on the back burner. Absolutely not. He is our family, and I want to make his life just as beautiful as we can. So if that means getting him little shoes so we could take him hiking, getting him sunglasses because his baby blue eyes have such a hard time with the sun, that's what I'm going to do. And then our prime, again, if I needed to, that would be gone. I would not, but you know, some would argue I live far from town. I'm on the outskirts, kind of like in the middle of nowhere. So having things delivered for free, it does save us money, and we don't have to commute or travel into town. So I don't know. I would probably keep that. You know, hair, I don't have to get a haircut. I'm sure my daughter can watch YouTube and figure it out. She's really savvy that way, and I could just embrace the grays. But, you know, and then for winter and spring, summer and fall, like the seasons, that's basically like fun spending money. And again, I think that's super important. I've got kids. I'm trying to make the most of our time together. So I value that. And again, all of this is very personal. Everyone's savings goals are going to be different based on your situation. And then vacation. And then we have the holidays. Again, super important to me. So once I have my month done and I'm down to a $0 on this one, I have another video. You'll see why there's $600 left over and I'm not touching it. I go into more detail in that video. And I don't know whether that's going to be posted before or after this one. So I don't know whether you'll have to wait for it or you can go back and watch it. At this point, I don't know. Then I like to look at each paycheck. So this will be the December 30th check. I know with that check, I'm going to fund these fixed expenses. So half the mortgage, Six Flags, half the car, water, trash, and then I'm putting money towards our cushion. Then we have groceries, gas, nails, spending, dining out, pets and kids. And then I'm putting some to our 52-week challenge. And then my savings, my emergency savings, I'm using like a box set, which you'll see in another video. And then I did my cash denomination breakdown. As the month is going, you then want to track your spending. So this is where those budget categories, remember the calendar that I had posted on my tablet I showed you? This is where that comes into play. So this is basically what is going to look like what your bank statement looks like. So this is going to say Chase for me. I'm going to put what I started January with. So whatever my balance was right when my paycheck hit, the day before my paycheck hit, that's going to be what my starting balance was. Then I'm going to literally, from my computer, looking at my banking app or whatever, I'm going to write all my transactions. Some people are like, it's right there. It's on your bank account. Why would you write it down? There is magic to pen and paper. There is magic to writing down the transactions and acknowledging this was miscellaneous, unplanned. This was kids. This was dining out. So you're going to put your budget category here, and then you will highlight that row. At the end of the month, you then put your budget categories. Let me get to that page. No, I will not set the book on fire. Don't worry. Right here, this is where did your money go worksheet. So this right here, you're going to list your budget categories. What did you budget for and how much did you wind up actually spending? What was that difference? And the percent of the total monthly income. So for example, let's say we did food. So this would be like groceries and dining out, or, miscellaneous, unplanned, unexpected. If that's a percentage I'm not comfortable with, like 15% of my income, I'm like, dang, 15% is going to that? Well, let me try to reduce it to 8% and put more towards savings. It really is an eye-opener when you do that. So I was so terrible. I didn't track my spending for 2023. Like maybe 2 months, 3 months here or there, I tried. I just never did it. I am dedicated to doing it this year. It is super important. And then it gives you also like your debt progress, your savings progress, and things like that. But this right here will give you a monthly comparison. I will not have data for December because again, I did not track my spending. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my January here, and then come February, I will be able to have January here and February here, and I will be able to compare the 2 months. This is where you're going to see progress. Or perhaps you won't see progress and it will kick your butt into gear for the next month, right? And then she does offer you a monthly meal plan, which is really great and something I should be doing. And I would want to tell you that I'm going to commit to that in 2024, but chances are I probably won't. I should. You should. We all should. But I'm bad sometimes. I just have a hard time. And then she gives you the teller sheets that you can just like cut out and use. But I like to use my reusable one. I try to be not as wasteful. However, because I've purchased this book, I have these already as is. So if I need to, I could use them, and maybe perhaps I should. And then you have a spot to put some like thoughts and notes and stuff. And this is a great place to just kind of do a brain dump. How are you feeling? Things that maybe have impacted your finances. Like on this date, I was a little upset and I made a couple purchases on Amazon. Probably could have done without, right? Or I went to the mall and I purchased X, Y, and Z. And write like maybe what you were feeling, because people don't want to talk about it, but all of that stuff impacts our financial health. If you're happy, if you're sad, if you're angry, like it all plays a role. You could be not purchasing the things that you need to be purchasing because of a mood, or you could be purchasing and shopping when you really have no business doing that because you're already in so much debt, but because of an emotion. So it's super important to like just dump it out. Just put it out. Sit with it. Sometimes we have to sit in the uncomfortable to grow. And I know you all can do it. So wherever you are on your financial journey, whether you have a grip of debt or you have no debt, you still have goals. Okay? You still can be derailed from those goals. So you need to be aware of that. So self-awareness. That's why I really take time throughout my day. That's why I did the word breathe, to remind myself to just stop, slow down, take a deep breath, slow my mind and my thought process, because if you haven't noticed, I can go a mile a minute, probably like 10 miles a minute. And that's just the state I've always lived in. It's definitely trauma response, and that's like a whole other topic, but I'm aware of it. And so there are times where I literally just have to say, Taryn, enough, stop, breathe. And then, okay, now let's talk about it. Let's unpack that in a much more calm, vibe. It happens, and it all impacts our finances. There is so much that impact our finances that people don't want to talk about, but it is super important to talk about. So that's how you're going to get started on your budget. I will do a video that goes more into like zero based, like the concept of that, just because I did not do that for this month because I need to leave that extra $600. There might be some changes happening and I just need to be prepared. So I just don't want to touch it. I don't want to assign it yet, but eventually I will, just not right now. But this, again, has been a lifesaver. I will tag the Budget Mom in the description of this video, and I will put a link to this book. Follow her on Instagram, watch her YouTube videos. I did purchase her building blocks course. I don't know if it's still on sale. If it's not, it's like a little over $200, but I'm telling you, it is so worth it. It's almost like a financial university. You know what I mean? Like a masterclass almost, but like times 10. The information is invaluable. And just the way that she approaches finances to me is so much more relatable than other sources out there. I won't say names. I'm not going to do that, but she's so much more realistic, so much more understanding of the different factors that play a role in our finances. So if you are not already like a fan, hopefully you will be, and you follow her as well. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel, because I talk about my particular situation, things that happen or impact our household and our finances. And hopefully in some way that helps you, encourages you, motivates you, whatever. And I just would love for you to join our community here. Say hi in the comments. And if you have hung out this long, tell me one of your money goals, something you want to save for. Maybe you have a trip planned. Drop that into the comments and let me know. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.